At 12:47 a.m., two hospital security guards escorted Dr. Aaron Pike through the emergency room of St. Mercy General Hospital in front of every nurse, patient, and family member who had watched him work for 16 straight hours. He was not handcuffed, but he looked like a man being led to execution. His white coat was wrinkled, his eyes were red, his hands would not stop shaking. Outside the hospital, rain poured over a crowd of reporters. Camera lights flashed against the glass doors. A woman in a black coat stood under an umbrella, crying so hard she could barely speak. "My son walked into this hospital alive," she said into a microphone. "And now they're telling me a doctor let him die." Her son was Marcus Bell, 26 years old, a paramedic trainee, 3 weeks away from graduating, 2 hours away from proposing to his girlfriend, and now the hospital had already decided whose life would be destroyed next. Upstairs, in the 7th floor conference room, Director Warren Hale placed a printed medical chart on the table. Across from him sat Dr. Aaron Pike. Beside the wall stood Claire Donovan, the night nurse nobody had invited but nobody had noticed enough to remove. Director Hale opened the chart to the final page. "Dr. Pike," he said calmly, "the record shows you failed to escalate care, failed to order imaging in time, and failed to document the patient's deterioration." Aaron stared at him. "That's not true." Dr. Lena Morris, St. Mercy's most famous cardiologist, sat near the window with her arms folded. "It's in your note, Aaron." "I didn't write that note." No one answered. That was when Claire looked down at the page. Time of death, 11:43 p.m. Her face stayed still, but her eyes changed because Claire Donovan remembered Trauma Bay 3 at 11:43 p.m. She remembered Marcus gasping. She remembered Dana crying outside the glass. She remembered the monitor still showing a pulse. At 11:43 p.m., Marcus Bell was not dead. Claire stepped forward. "That chart is wrong." The room went silent. Director Hale looked at her like a chair had spoken. "Excuse me?" Claire pointed at the page. "This says he died at 11:43. Dr. Morris gave a thin smile. "That is correct." Claire looked straight at her. "No, it isn't." The rain hit the windows harder. Downstairs, the dead man's mother was begging for the truth. Upstairs, the hospital was burying it, and nobody in that room knew that before Claire Donovan became the quietest nurse at St. Mercy, she had been Captain Claire Donovan, the woman the Army sent when dead men's paperwork did not match their wounds. She had seen lies written in clean ink before. She had once lost everything for refusing to sign one, and this time the lie had made one fatal mistake. It picked a witness with a perfect memory. 6 hours earlier, Marcus Bell was still alive. He walked into St. Mercy General at 6:18 p.m., with one hand pressed to his stomach and the other wrapped around a small velvet ring box hidden in his jacket pocket. His girlfriend, Dana Ruiz, walked beside him. She did not know about the ring. She only knew Marcus was pale, sweating, and trying too hard to smile. "Baby, stop acting tough," Dana said. "You almost passed out in the parking lot." Marcus forced a laugh. "I'm not acting tough. You're literally a paramedic student. You know this is dumb." "I'm a paramedic trainee, big difference. You're 3 weeks from graduating. Still means I can't diagnose myself." Dana gave him a look. Marcus smiled again, but it faded fast when another wave of pain hit him. He bent forward and Dana grabbed his arm. "Marcus, I'm okay." "No, you're not." Across the emergency room, Claire Donovan saw them before triage called their names. She always saw the people trying not to be noticed. Claire was 41 years old, dressed in navy scrubs and old running shoes. Her hair was tied low at her neck. Her badge said registered nurse. To most people at St. Mercy, that was all she was. Reliable, quiet, useful, invisible. She worked nights because nights asked fewer questions. She lived alone because alone was easier to explain. She kept her apartment simple, her phone clean, and her past locked behind short answers. At 6:24 p.m., Marcus was placed in bed 9, abdominal pain, dizziness, shortness of breath, initial blood pressure 96/62, heart rate 118, respirations 24, skin pale, cool, clammy. Claire read the numbers from the nurse's station. Then she looked at Marcus through the curtain. Numbers mattered, but people mattered more. Marcus was not just uncomfortable. He was trying not to scare Dana. That scared Claire. Charge nurse Marlene Voss dropped a stack of assignment sheets onto the counter. Claire turned. Beds 2, 5, and 8 need turnover. Then central supply is short on IV start kits. After that, crash cart seals. Claire looked back at bed 9. Who's watching Marcus Bell? Doctor. Pike picked him up. He's hypotensive. He's young. Claire's eyes stayed on the board. Young people bleed. Marlene sighed. Claire, I need you to stop doing this. Doing what? Reading the room like you're the only one who knows medicine. Claire said nothing. Marlene softened for half a second. Just do the beds, Claire nodded. Yes, Mom. She walked away with the linen cart. People thought Claire's silence meant she had accepted her place. They were wrong. Claire had learned years ago that arguing with authority too early only taught liars where to hide the evidence. So she cleaned the rooms, changed the sheets, replaced blankets, checked oxygen tubing, answered call bells, and every time she passed bed 9 she looked. Marcus's hand stayed on his abdomen, Dana's hand stayed on Marcus, and the monitor told a story nobody powerful wanted to read yet. Heart rate climbing, pressure soft, respirations too fast, a body whispering before it screamed. At 6:52 p.m., Dr. Aaron Pike stopped at the charting station. He was 29, exhausted, and still kind enough to say thank you to nurses. That made him unusual. "Claire," he said, "did Belle's lactate come back?" "Not yet." "It should, yes." He looked at her. "You think something's wrong?" Claire looked toward bed 9. "The patient thinks something's wrong." Aaron followed her gaze. Before he could answer, a voice cut in. "Aaron." Dr. Lena Morris walked in from the ambulance bay. Every emergency room had one doctor administrators treated like a hospital brand. At St. Mercy, that was Dr. Morris, billboard face, cardiology star, donor magnet, brilliant enough to be trusted, proud enough to be dangerous. She glanced at Aaron's tablet. "Marcus Bell?" "Yes." "Abdominal pain, near syncope, tachycardia, soft pressure. I ordered lactate and I'm considering CT." Dr. Morris smiled like she was correcting a child in public. "He's 26. Claire spoke before she could stop herself. "So was my last trauma patient who bled out internally." The station went quiet. Dr. Morris slowly turned. "Claire, right?" "Yes, doctor. You're in charge of bed 9? "No." "Then I suggest you return to what you are in charge of." Nobody moved. Aaron looked down. Marlene pretended to read the board. Claire held Dr. Morris's eyes for 1 second too long. Then she said, "Yes, doctor." She turned and pushed the linen card away, but 10 minutes later, Claire printed Marcus Bell's first vitals and placed the paper in her pocket. Not because she knew he would die, because something about the chart already felt too clean, and clean charts had ruined her life once before. By 7:15 p.m., the emergency room was drowning. A flu outbreak had filled the waiting room. 2 ambulances arrived back-to-back. An elderly woman in bed 7 was becoming septic. A drunk man in hallway C was shouting at his own shoes. A child with an asthma attack cried every time the nebulizer mask touched his face. Claire moved through all of it without wasting motion. She hung fluids for bed 7 under protocol. She replaced a blown IV in bed 4. She caught a medication allergy before pharmacy did. No one thanked her. That was normal. Then the lab called. Claire picked up Claire Donovan. A young lab tech's voice came through low. I have a critical lactate on Marcus Bell." Claire stopped walking. "What number?" 6.8. Claire looked toward bed 9. A lactate of 6.8 was not anxiety. It was a body in serious trouble. "Post it to the chart," Claire said. There was a pause. "I tried." Claire's eyes narrowed. "What do you mean you tried? It says specimen review hold." "Who placed the hold?" Another pause. "I don't know. It's weird. It came from admin override." Claire said nothing. The lab tech lowered his voice. "I'm not supposed to call before release, but I thought someone should know." "What's your name?" "Evan." "Evan, print your screen." "I can't." "Print it." Silence. Then the printer clicked faintly on the other end. Claire hung up. At the same moment, Dr. Morris appeared at the station with Director Warren Hale beside her. Hale was polished, controlled, and smiling in a way that never reached his eyes. Administrators like Hale did not look tired in the ER. They looked inconvenienced by it. Dr. Morris spoke to Aaron. "Any update on Bell?" Aaron checked the tablet. "Lactate still pending." Claire watched him say it. Pending. Not because he was careless, because someone had made the truth unavailable. Claire stepped closer. "Dr. Pike," lab called. "Lactate is critical." Dr. Morris turned sharply. "Lab called you?" Claire nodded. "Yes." "That result is not released." "No, it is being held." Director Hale's smile disappeared. "Held by whom?" Claire looked at him. "That is what I would like to know." For a moment, Hale's face showed nothing. Then he gave a soft administrative laugh. "System delays happen all the time." Claire said, "Critical results don't usually hide themselves." Marlene whispered, "Claire?" Dr. Morris stepped forward. "Be careful." Claire looked at her. "I usually am." The room went still again. Aaron looked from Claire to Morris to Hale. Something was wrong. He could feel it now. But feeling something was wrong was not the same as being brave enough to say it. Dr. Morris turned to him. "Hydrate Bell. Reassess in an hour." Aaron frowned. "With a lactate of 6.8, I think we need CT now." Dr. Morris's voice stayed smooth. "You think?" Aaron swallowed. Claire watched his hand tighten around the tablet. This was the moment that made doctors, not test scores, not titles. This, when the room punished you for being right. Aaron said quietly, "Yes, I think he needs CT now." Dr. Morris stared at him. Director Hale checked his watch. "Lena, we have the board call in 20 minutes. Dr. Morris looked annoyed. "Order it if you must," she said to Aaron. "But don't clog imaging because a young man has stomach pain and nerves." She walked away with Hale. Aaron entered the CT order. Claire watched the screen. Stat CT abdomen and pelvis confirmed. 7:38 p.m. Aaron exhaled. "Thank you," he said. Claire did not answer. She was looking at the workstation, across the desk. Dr. Morris had left her badge near the keyboard, but the screen was still active, and in the corner of the system log, Claire saw something that made her blood go cold. A user from risk management had opened Marcus Bell's chart. At 7:39 p.m., before Marcus had even gone to CT, before anything officially bad had happened, risk management did not usually enter a chart before a mistake, unless someone already knew one was coming. Claire entered bed 9 at 7. 8:50 p.m. Marcus was sitting up, sweating through his gray hoodie. Dana stood beside him, holding his hand with both of hers. Marcus tried to smile. Hey, nurse. Claire. Right, Claire. Sorry. You don't need to apologize. I do that when I'm nervous. Dana wiped her eyes quickly. He does. He apologized to a vending machine last week. Marcus gave a weak laugh, then winced. Claire checked his pulse. Fast. Weak. She looked at Dana. How long have you two been together? Dana blinked, surprised by the question. 4 years. Marcus mumbled. 4 years, 2 months. Dana looked down at him. You remember that? He looked embarrassed. I remember things. Claire glanced at the jacket hanging on the chair. One pocket sagged slightly, a small square shape inside. Marcus noticed her notice. His eyes pleaded silently. Don't say it. Claire looked back at his monitor. She would not. Some secrets deserved protection, some did not. She adjusted the blood pressure cuff. Dana leaned closer. Claire, he keeps saying he feels cold. Claire nodded. I know. Is that bad? Claire did not lie. It can be. Marcus closed his eyes. I have clinicals Monday. Dana almost laughed through tears. You're worried about clinicals? I can't miss more hours. You're in the ER. I know where I am. His breathing hitched. Then he looked at Claire. I was supposed to be on the other side of this bed. Claire paused. That one got through. Because every healer feared becoming the body on the stretcher. Claire checked his abdomen gently. Marcus flinched hard. Dana tightened her grip. Claire stood. I'm going to check on your CT. Dana grabbed her sleeve. Please don't let them forget him. Claire looked at her hand, then at Dana's face. I won't. It was a dangerous promise. But Claire made it anyway. Outside the room, Aaron was at the desk. CT says 20 minutes, he said. Claire looked at the board. Too long. I know. Call a gay did. Call surgery. He hesitated. Without imaging? Claire looked at him. With a patient. Aaron's pager went off before he could answer. He looked down, then frowned. What? Claire stepped closer. The CT order had been canceled. Canceled by L. Morris, MD. Reason. Patient stable, imaging deferred. Aaron stared at the screen. I didn't cancel that. Claire said nothing. She reached past him and printed the order history. Aaron looked at her. Why are you printing that? Claire folded the page once. Because things disappear here. What does that mean? Claire looked toward Director Hale's closed office upstairs. It means your patient is not the only one in danger. At 8:19 p.m., Dana screamed. Not a confused scream, not a startled scream. The scream of a person who had watched the future disappear in front of her. Claire was already moving. She reached the restroom hallway as Marcus collapsed against the wall, one hand pressed to his abdomen, the other still clutching his jacket. The velvet ring box fell from the pocket and slid across the tile. Dana saw it. For one terrible second, everything stopped, and Marcus hit the floor. Marcus! Claire dropped beside him. Marcus, look at me. His eyes fluttered. Cold. Aaron slid in beside her, pulses fast and thready. Claire looked at Marcus's abdomen. Rigid, distended, bad, very bad. He's bleeding internally, Claire said. Aaron's face drained. Marlene, trauma 3. Marlene rushed over. Trauma 3 is held for incoming ambulance. Claire looked up. Not anymore. Together, they moved Marcus to a stretcher. Dana grabbed the ring box from the floor and followed, sobbing silently. Inside Trauma 3, the room changed shape around Claire. People ran, machines screamed, gloves snapped, drawers opened. But Claire's voice cut clean through the noise. 2 large bore IVs, type and cross O negative on standby. Fluids wide open, pressure every 2 minutes. Get surgery on the phone. Aaron moved to the head of the bed. Marcus, stay with me. Marcus's eyes rolled. Dana stood outside the glass doors. Claire saw her lift her phone, not to call anyone, to record. Good, Claire thought. Not because it was comfortable. Because hospitals controlled charts. They did not always control grieving women with cameras. Dr. Morris entered. What happened? Aaron said. He crashed. Dr. Morris checked Marcus quickly. For the first time all night, her confidence cracked just for a second. Claire saw it. Then Morris recovered. Get him to CT. Claire said he may not survive transport. I wasn't asking you. He needs surgery. He needs imaging. He needed imaging an hour ago. The room went dead quiet. Dr. Morris turned slowly. What did you say? Claire kept her voice low. I said he needed imaging when Dr. Pike ordered it. Aaron looked between them. Marlene whispered, Claire, stop. Claire did not stop. Someone canceled it. Dr. Morris stepped closer. You are making accusations in the middle of a resuscitation. Claire looked back at Marcus. No, I am trying to keep your patient alive long enough for the truth to matter. Marcus's monitor alarmed, blood pressure, 66/40. Then his rhythm changed. Aaron shouted, I'm losing the pulse. Claire moved instantly. Start compressions. Aaron froze for half a beat. Claire looked at him. Now, doctor, he started. Claire managed the room. Marlene epi, respiratory, bag him. Call surgery and tell them if they don't come down now, they'll be operating on a memory. Outside the glass, Dana filmed through tears. The ring box was still in her left hand at 8:31 p.m. Marcus Bell lost his pulse at 8:33 p.m. They got it back. At 8:41 p.m. he lost it again. At 8:44 p.m. Aaron looked at Claire with panic in his eyes. Claire, she knew that look. She had seen it in Kandahar. A young surgeon, a dying soldier, an officer waiting by the door with a report already written. Claire pressed one hand over Marcus's sternum and looked at the monitor. There was still electrical activity, weak, but there. He's not gone, she said. Dr. Morris snapped, you don't get to decide that. Claire turned her head. No, the monitor does. That was when Director Hale appeared at the door with a woman in a gray suit. Monica Vale, Risk Management. Claire recognized her from the system log. Monica looked at Marcus, then at Dana's phone, then at Claire, and Claire understood. They were not there to save the patient. They were there to manage what his death would cost. At 8:52 p.m., surgery finally arrived. Marcus was rushed upstairs. Dana tried to follow, but Monica Vale stepped in front of her. Miss Ruiz, I need to speak with you privately. Claire stepped between them. No, Monica blinked. I'm sorry, she's not signing anything tonight. Director Hale smiled tightly. Nurse Donovan, this is not your role. Claire looked at him. It never is until someone needs a witness. Hale's smile faded. For the first time he looked at her closely, not as a nurse, as a problem. And that was when Claire knew Marcus Bell was not the only person they planned to bury before sunrise. At 9:17 p.m. Marcus was in surgery. Dana sat in a consultation room with the ring box on the table in front of her. She had stopped crying, that worried Claire more. People who cried were still moving. People who went quiet were standing at the edge of something. Claire placed a cup of water beside her. Dana did not touch it. He was going to ask me, Dana whispered. Claire sat across from her. Yes, you saw it? Yes. Dana stared at the ring box. He kept saying he was cold. I told 3 people. I told them something was wrong, I know. Then why didn't anyone listen? Claire had no easy answer. So she gave the only honest one, because sometimes systems get trained to ignore quiet emergencies. Dana looked up, and sometimes they ignore people who don't look expensive. Claire said nothing. That was also true. Dana wiped her face. Is he going to die? Claire held her gaze. I don't know. Dana nodded slowly. Then she pushed her phone across the table. I recorded everything after he collapsed. Claire looked at the phone. Dana's voice lowered. I also recorded earlier. Claire stilled. What earlier? Dana unlocked the screen. A video played. Marcus lay in bed 9, pale and sweating. Dana's voice came from behind the camera. Marcus, tell them what you told me. Marcus looked embarrassed. I feel like I'm gonna pass out. Then another voice entered the recording. Dr. Morris, off camera, calm, annoyed. He's stable. We are not burning a stat CT slot on anxiety. Claire watched the timestamp, 7:41 p.m. 3 minutes after Aaron ordered the CT. 1 minute before it was canceled. Dana looked at Claire. Is that important? Claire's face did not change, but her hand closed around the phone. Yes. Before Claire could say more, Aaron entered the room. He looked destroyed. Marcus is alive, he said. Dana stood. But, Aaron swallowed. They found a ruptured splenic artery, massive internal bleeding. Surgery is trying to control it. Dana covered her mouth. Claire looked at Aaron. Was there trauma? No crash, no fall, nothing. Claire frowned. Spontaneous rupture was rare. Not impossible, but rare. Aaron lowered his voice. Claire, I checked the chart. She looked at him. My CT order is gone. Claire already knew. Aaron continued. My progress note is gone too. There's a new note under my name. What does it say? Aaron looked sick. It says I reassessed Marcus at 7:55 and found him stable. Dana whispered, but he wasn't. Aaron shook his head. I never wrote that. Claire stood. Show me. They went to the charting station. Aaron logged in. Claire watched over his shoulder. There it was, a clean note. Too clean. Patient resting comfortably. Vitals improved. No acute distress. Patient declined additional imaging at this time. Plan observation. Claire read the final line twice. Patient declined additional imaging. That was the lie. Dana was behind them now. He never declined anything. Aaron whispered, I didn't write this. Claire looked at the timestamp, 7:59 p.m. At 7:59 p.m., Aaron had been in trauma too with an asthma patient. Claire knew because she had handed him the nebulizer tubing. She opened the audit trail. Access denied. Aaron frowned. That's weird. Claire tried from her login. Access denied. Then Marlene walked up, pale. Claire turned. Marlene's voice was low. Director Hale wants you off the floor. Aaron looked up. What? Marlene would not meet Claire's eyes. He says you're interfering with an active review. Dana stepped forward. She's the only one telling the truth. Marlene whispered, please don't make this worse. Claire looked at her. For who? Marlene flinched. Before anyone could answer, Claire's phone vibrated. Unknown number. One text message. Stop digging, Captain Donovan. Claire stared at the screen. Nobody at St. Mercy was supposed to know that title, not unless the lie from Kandahar had followed her home. Claire walked into the staff locker room and locked the door behind her. For the first time that night, her breathing changed. Not panic, memory Kandahar. 15 years earlier, a military surgical unit built from dust, steel, and bad decisions. Captain Claire Donovan had not been famous. She had been worse. Useful. She had been the nurse investigator they sent after battles when the paperwork was too neat, when death times did not match blood loss, when medication logs looked rewritten, when soldiers died in one place but charts said another. Her unofficial nickname had started as a joke. Night Ledger, because Claire Donovan could read a medical record like a crime scene. Then came the case that ended her career. A young soldier named Eli Mercer, 22 years old, declared dead at 0306. But Claire had seen him alive at 03 13 minutes. That was all. 13 minutes that proved someone had stopped treatment too early. 13 minutes that proved a senior officer had ordered a report changed to hide a failed evacuation. Claire refused to sign. 2 weeks later, she was accused of falsifying records. Her military career ended quietly. No trial, no apology, no headline, just a sealed file and a warning. Let it go. So Claire came home, changed hospitals, changed cities, changed the way she answered questions. But she kept one thing from that life. Not a weapon, not a medal. A small encrypted drive inside the lining of her old trauma bag. The Kandahar audit files. The proof no one had been ready to hear. Claire opened her locker. At the bottom, beneath spare scrubs and old shoes, sat the trauma bag. She unzipped the inner seam. The drive was still there. Then someone knocked on the locker room door. 3 slow knock. Claire slipped the drive into her pocket. "Who is it?" a male voice answered. "Even." From the lab. Claire opened the door 2 inches. The young lab tech stood outside, terrified, holding a folded printout. "I printed the lactate screen like you said." Claire took it. The page showed Marcus Bell's lactate. 6-8, collected 6:41 p.m., resulted 7:2 p.m., held by admin override. 7:3 p.m., released. Never. Claire looked at Evan. "Who placed the hold?" he swallowed. "I checked the back end, and it wasn't Dr. Morris." Claire went still. "Who was it?" Evan looked over his shoulder. "Monica Vale, risk management." Claire's eyes narrowed. Risk management had held a critical lab before the patient crashed. That meant this was not panic after a mistake. This was preparation. Evan whispered, "There's more." He handed her a second page. Someone accessed Dr. Pike's account from an admin terminal at 8:06. Claire looked at the time. At 8:06, Aaron had been with Marcus. The fake note was entered at 7:59, then edited at 8:06. Claire folded the pages. "Go back to the lab. I think they know I checked. Then don't go alone." Evan's voice shook. "What is happening?" Claire looked toward the ER doors. "The hospital is writing a story. And us?" Claire put the evidence in her pocket. "We're the parts they forgot to delete." At 10:58 p.m., the surgeon came downstairs. Dana stood before he reached the door. Claire knew from his face. Everyone who worked in medicine knew that face, the careful mouth, the lowered eyes, the breath taken before destroying someone's world. "I'm sorry," he said. Dana made a sound that did not seem human. Marcus Bell was dead. 26 years old, paramedic trainee, almost fiancé, almost everything. Dr. Aaron Pike sat down hard in a chair. Marlene covered her mouth. Claire stood very still. She had seen death before, but this one had fingerprints. Director Hale arrived 7 minutes later with Monica Vale. Too fast, too prepared. Monica carried a folder. Hale put on his soft voice. "Miss Ruiz, we are deeply sorry for your loss." Dana stared at him. "Don't." Hale paused. "We would like to help you avoid unnecessary pain." Claire watched Monica slide a document onto the table. A preliminary incident statement. Already printed. Already shaped. Already pointing away from the hospital. Dana looked at the paper. "What is this?" Monica said, "It simply confirms your understanding that Dr. Pike was the provider managing Marcus's care." Aaron looked up. "What?" Hale said, "Aaron, this is not the time." Claire stepped forward. "No, it's exactly the time." Monica's eyes hardened. "Nurse Donovan, you were instructed to stay off the floor." Claire looked at Dana. "Don't sign." Dana picked up the paper. Her hands shook. Then she tore it in half. Hale's expression changed, only slightly. But Claire saw the real man underneath. "Miss Ruiz," he said quietly, "anger will not bring Marcus back." Dana looked at him with wet eyes. "No." "But the video might." The room froze. Monica turned. "What video?" Dana lifted her phone, the one showing he was alive at 11:58. Claire looked at the phone, then at the wall clock. The hook slammed into place, because the hospital chart would soon say Marcus died at 11:43. 15 minutes before Dana's video showed him breathing. Hale looked at Monica. Monica looked at Claire, and Claire understood the next move before it happened. A security guard stepped into the hall. Then another. Monica's voice turned cold. "Miss Ruiz, that phone may contain protected hospital information. We'll need to secure it." Dana backed away. "No." Claire stepped in front of her. "No, you won't." Hale smiled without warmth. "You're making a serious mistake." Claire looked at him. "I made one serious mistake in my life, Director Hale." "And what was that?" Claire held his stare. "I believe people like you stopped lying when someone died." At 11:21 p.m., Claire, Dana, Aaron, and Evan stood in the old records room behind radiology. It was the only place in St. Mercy where the Wi-Fi barely reached, and the cameras had been broken for 6 months, because nobody important ever went there. Claire laid the evidence on a metal table. Dana's video, Evan's lab printout, the canceled CT order, the fake progress note, the admin login trail. Aaron stared at the pages. "They're going to say I killed him." Claire looked at him. "Yes," his voice cracked. "I didn't. I know." Dana wiped her face. "How do we prove it?" Claire opened her old trauma bag and took out the encrypted drive from Kandahar. Evan looked at it. "What is that?" Claire plugged it into the records room computer. "Insurance." The screen blinked. Then a folder opened. "Kandahar Medical Audit, CLED." Aaron stared at her. Claire, who are you? Before she could answer, the computer froze. Every light in the records room went out. Then the emergency red lights came on. A message appeared on the screen. Captain Donovan, you should have stayed quiet. Claire looked at the door. Footsteps approached from the hallway. Slow, heavy, not security, not nurses, someone who knew exactly where she was. Claire reached into her trauma bag, not for a weapon, for an old military ID card. The name on it was not Nurse Claire Donovan. It was Captain Claire Donovan, U.S. Army Medical Investigations Unit. Call sign, Night Ledger. Dana whispered, Claire? Claire put the ID around her neck. Then she looked at the 3 people behind her. Stay behind me. The doorknob turned. And for the first time in 4 years, the quietest nurse at St. Mercy stopped hiding who she used to be. The door opened just enough to show a man in a dark hospital security jacket. Claire recognized him immediately. Paul Reeder, night security supervisor, ex-police, friendly with administrators, always polite to nurses. Too polite. He held one hand open where they could see it. The other stayed near his belt. Claire, he said softly, Director Hale wants to speak with you. Claire looked past him into the hallway. No officers, no backup, no witnesses. That told her everything. If Director Hale wants to speak, Claire said, he can come here. Reeder sighed. You know I can't do that. Dana's voice shook. You're here for my phone. Reeder did not look at her. That was answer enough. Aaron stepped forward. This is insane. A patient died. Reeder finally glanced at him. Doctor, with respect, you should be more worried about your license than your opinion. Aaron froze. Claire heard the words land. Not a threat. A reminder. That was how systems broke people. They did not always hit. Sometimes they simply pointed at the thing you could not afford to lose. Claire moved one step closer to Reeder. He looked at her ID. Something changed in his expression. Recognition. Not fear. Respect. You really are her, he said. Claire's eyes narrowed. Who told you that name? Reeder did not answer. Behind Claire, Evan whispered, the computer. Claire turned slightly. The frozen screen flickered again. A new file opened by itself, a video file. No title. Just a timestamp. Kandahar Medical Holding Bay 0319. Claire stopped breathing. For 1 second, she was no longer in St. Mercy. She was back in the desert. Back under fluorescent lights, back beside a young soldier everyone said was already dead. On the screen, a younger Claire appeared in combat scrubs, hands covered in blood, shouting for a surgical tray. A soldier on the cot moved, alive, very alive. Then another voice came from off-camera. Cold, male, turn that camera off. The video cut. Dana stared at Claire. Aaron whispered, that's you. Claire did not answer, because the file should not exist. The Kandahar evidence had been sealed. The drive in her bag was the only copy she believed remained. But someone else had one. Someone inside St. Mercy. Reeder stepped into the room. They said you'd understand after seeing that. Claire slowly looked at him. Understand what? That this is bigger than Marcus Bell. The hallway light behind him went out. Then another. Someone was cutting power section by section. Reeder lowered his voice. They don't just want the phone. They want the drive. They want everything you kept. Claire said. Who is they? For the first time, Reeder looked scared. People who made careers out of clean paperwork. A sound came from the far end of the hallway. Footsteps. More than one person. Reeder looked back, then quickly stepped inside and shut the door behind him. Evan almost cried out. Claire raised one hand. Reeder reached into his jacket. Aaron grabbed a metal file rod like it was a weapon, but Reeder only pulled out a keycard. Blue stripe, executive access. He handed it to Claire. I can get you to the old server room. Claire studied him. Why? His face tightened. Because my sister died here last year. The room went still. Reeder looked at the floor. They told us she died before they could treat her. I believed them. His jaw worked. Tonight I saw Marcus Bell's chart change in real time. Same language, same timing, same signature pattern. Dana whispered, your sister was 23, Reeder said. And if you were right, she wasn't the first. Claire looked at the keycard in her hand. The mystery had just opened wider. Marcus Bell was not an accident. Dr. Pike was not the first scapegoat. And St. Mercy had been changing death stories long before tonight. From outside the records room, a voice called softly, Claire, Director Hale, calm, close, open the door. No one else has to get hurt. Claire looked at Dana, Aaron, Evan, and Reeder. Then she placed the Kandahar drive in Dana's hand. Dana stared at it. What are you doing? Claire said. You're the only one they can't discredit with hospital policy. Dana shook her head. I'm not a nurse. I don't know how to. You know Marcus was alive. Dana's eyes filled. That's enough. Director Hale knocked once. Captain Donovan. Claire turned toward the door. His voice softened. You lost your career once because you thought truth was stronger than power. A pause. Don't make the same mistake twice. Claire's face went quiet, very quiet. Then she said, the mistake wasn't telling the truth. She stepped toward the door. The mistake was telling it alone. The old server room was 2 floors below radiology behind a locked maintenance corridor that smelled like dust, warm wires, and forgotten budgets. St. Mercy had moved most of its systems to a modern cloud platform 3 years earlier, but hospitals never truly deleted the past. They archived it, and archives had a way of remembering what people wanted forgotten. Claire, Dana, Aaron, Evan, and Reader moved through the dark corridor without speaking. Above them, the hospital was still alive. Monitors beeped. Phones rang. Families waited. Nurses ran between rooms. A normal hospital night, built on top of something rotten. Reader swiped the executive keycard. The server room door opened. Inside, metal racks hummed in the dark. Evan rushed to a terminal. If the audit trail was mirrored before they locked us out, it should be here. Aaron stood behind him, pale. What are we looking for? Claire answered, patterns. Dana hugged Marcus's ring box against her chest. What kind of patterns? Claire looked at the server lights. The kind that proved Marcus wasn't the first. Evan typed fast. His hands shook, but he knew what he was doing. Okay, I can search medication holds. Delayed imaging, altered death times, risk management access before patient death. He stopped, his face changed. Aaron leaned in. What? Evan whispered, there are too many. A list appeared. Names, dates, departments, time of death amended, CT order canceled, critical lab held, provider note edited, patient declined treatment. Claire read the screen. Not one case, not 5, 38, over 18 months. Dana covered her mouth. Aaron looked sick. 38 patients? Evan shook his head. No. 38 flagged cases. There may be more. Reader stepped closer. Search Anna Reader. Evan typed. A file opened. Anna Reader Desid, age 23. Complaint, chest pain, shortness of breath, critical troponin held, cardiology consult delayed, time of death amended by 22 minutes, risk management access before death. Reader put one hand on the wall. Claire watched him read the truth. His family had been denied. His sister had not just died. Her final record had been edited. Reader's voice broke. They told my mother there was nothing else they could done. No one spoke, because there were no words for that. Dana stepped beside him and placed a hand on his arm. 2 grieving people, 2 different nights. Same lie. Aaron looked at Claire. Why would they do this? To avoid lawsuits? Claire looked at the list. That's part of it. Evan clicked another column. Insurance classification, denied escalation, non-covered transfer, charity status, underinsured. Dana frowned. What does that mean? Aaron answered, voice hollow. It means the patients who got delayed were expensive to treat. Evan opened Marcus's file. Marcus Bell insurance status, provisional, paramedic academy coverage not active until graduation. Emergency surgery required, high-cost intervention, Dana whispered. No, Claire's jaw tightened. Marcus was not ignored because he was young. He was ignored because saving him would cost the hospital money. Then Evan found another file attached to Marcus's chart. He clicked it. A scanned document opened. Dana leaned closer. That's not medical. Claire read the headers. T. Mercy, strategic, risk mortal. Patient escalation, cost exposure, confidential, board review. Aaron whispered, what the hell is that? Evan scrolled. A table appeared. Patients were being scored, not by pain, not by urgency, by financial risk, age, insurance, likelihood of lawsuit, media vulnerability, projected cost of intervention, probability of survival, probability of family legal action. Claire felt cold, not surprised. Worse, confirmed. Then Dana pointed at one line. Why is Marcus highlighted? Evan clicked. A note opened. M. Bell. Low legal exposure if outcome classified as provider delay. Assigned to resident-level failure if adverse event occurs. Aaron stepped back like he had been hit. They picked me. Claire looked at him. Yes, his mouth opened, but nothing came out. Dana's face changed. Grief hardened into fury. They decided before he died. Claire looked at the screen. No. She scrolled to the timestamp. The note had been created at 7:12 p.m. Marcus was still sitting in bed 9 then, still talking, still holding a ring he had not given Dana yet. Claire's voice dropped. They decided before he crashed. The room went silent. The situation was bigger than a changed chart. Marcus Bell had been financially triaged by a hospital system that measured the cost of saving him against the cost of blaming someone after he died. Then the server room printer clicked. Everyone turned. A page printed by itself. One line, Night Ledger Case File Manach. Kandahar Pro. Claire's blood went cold. Aaron looked at her. What is Kandahar Protocol? Claire stared at the page. It's not supposed to exist. Dana asked, what is it? Claire looked at the 38 names on the screen, then at Marcus's file, then at the old video from Kandahar still open in the background. Kandahar Protocol was a military cover-up method. Her voice was almost a whisper. Change the time, change the note, blame the lowest person with a signature. Evan swallowed. And now it's here? Claire looked toward the locked door. No. She picked up the printed page. It started there. The server room phone rang. Everyone froze. Old beige phone, mounted on the wall, a line no one had used in years. It rang again. Claire looked at Reader. He shook his head. I didn't know that thing worked. Claire picked it up. Director Hale's voice came through. You found the archive. Claire said nothing. Hale sighed softly. I suppose that was inevitable. Dana stepped closer, listening. Claire said, 38 patients. No, Hale replied. 38 documented anomalies. Claire's eyes narrowed. He was not denying it. That made him more dangerous. Hale continued, calm as a surgeon. You think you found evil, Captain Donovan. You haven't. You found arithmetic. Aaron grabbed the phone. People died, and people live every day because this hospital remains open, Hale said. Do you know how many uninsured patients we treat every month? How many beds we keep staffed? How many rural transfers we accept because no one else will take them? Claire took the phone back. Do not dress murder as budgeting. Murder requires intent. You built a model. I inherited a collapsing institution. Claire said nothing. Hale's voice lowered. Do you think medicine is pure? It is not. It is rationing wrapped in compassion. Every hospital does it. We simply stop pretending the math wasn't there. Dana's eyes filled with rage. My Marcus was not math. Hale paused. When he spoke again, he sounded almost human. No, he was not. That was the disturbing part. He meant it. He was not a cartoon villain. He knew Marcus had been a person. He had simply decided the system mattered more. Hale said, Miss Ruiz, I am sorry for your loss. Dana moved toward the phone. Claire held up one hand, stopping her. Hale continued, but grief does not understand consequences. If you release what you found, St. Mercy closes. The county loses its only level 2 trauma center. Hundreds of nurses lose jobs. Thousands lose access to care. Aaron whispered, he's trying to make us feel responsible. Claire said, I know. Hale heard him anyway. Dr. Pike, you should listen carefully. Right now the board believes you were overwhelmed, negligent, and dishonest. If you cooperate, I can protect your license. A suspension, perhaps. Remediation. You will still become a doctor. Aaron's face went pale. Hale's voice softened further. If you fight me, I will make sure every hospital in this country sees your name beside Marcus Bell's death. Aaron closed his eyes. Claire watched him. This was the real battle, not locked doors. Fear. Hale turned to Evan next. Mr. Brooks, unauthorized access to patient records is a federal matter. You are 24. Do not spend your future in court for people who will not remember your name. Evan stepped back from the terminal. Then Hale said, Mr. Reeder, I know your mother still lives in the house. St. Mercy helped refinance after Anna died. Reeder's expression changed. Claire looked at him. Hale said, it would be unfortunate if that arrangement were reviewed. Reeder gripped the edge of the server rack. Then came Dana. Miss Ruiz, Hale said. You have a video. We have a legal department. By morning, the world will know Marcus had untreated anxiety, that he refused imaging, and that you were too distraught to remember clearly. Dana shook her head. You can't do that. I can do worse. The room went still. Hale's voice remained gentle. I can make his mother believe he died because the woman he loved delayed care by arguing with staff. Dana's face broke. Claire took one step toward the phone. That's enough. Hale paused. Then his tone changed. Captain Donovan. Claire waited. I saved the best for you. The server monitor flickered. A file opened. Kandahar Disciplinary Chumri. Claire's sealed military file. Hale continued. Falsification of medical records. Interference with chain of command. Psychological instability following combat exposure. Aaron looked at Claire. Evan looked down. Dana whispered, Claire, Hale said, you built a life here by being invisible. I can end it before sunrise. By noon tomorrow, you won't be a whistleblower. You'll be a disgraced former officer with a history of falsifying charts, accusing a hospital of falsifying charts. Claire closed her eyes. There it was, the old cage. Same bars, new building. Hale asked softly, do you really want to lose everything twice? Claire opened her eyes. Her voice was quiet. No. Aaron stared at her. Dana looked crushed. Then Claire continued, I want to lose it once correctly. She hung up. For 3 seconds, nobody spoke. Then Evan whispered, what does that mean? Claire turned back to the terminal. It means we stopped trying to prove they changed Marcus's chart. Aaron frowned. What? Claire looked at the 38 names. We proved they built a machine that knew which charts to change before the patients died. Evan began copying the archive. Not everything. Too much data would take too long. Claire chose the evidence like a battlefield medic choosing who could still be saved. Marcus Bell, Anna Reeder. 5 other cases with matching patterns. Financial risk model, admin override logs, fake provider notes, audit trail access. Kandahar protocol match, Dana's video. Enough to prove design, enough to force outside eyes, not enough for Hale to bury as noise. Aaron stood near the door. I need to tell the board. Claire did not look up. No, they need to know. They already know enough. He turned. You don't know that. Claire finally looked at him. Risk models don't build themselves in a basement. Aaron's mouth shut. Dana held Marcus's ring box so tightly her knuckles had gone white. Then who do we trust? Claire inserted the drive. One person outside the hospital. Police? Evan asked. No. Media? No. Aaron frowned. Then who? Claire typed a name into a secure message draft. Major Rebecca Sloan, U.S. Army Medical Crimes Review Board. Dana looked at the title. Army? Claire said, if Kandahar protocol is in the system, someone took military cover-up methods into civilian medicine. That makes this bigger than St. Mercy. Reeder looked toward the door. How fast can she get here? Claire did not answer. Because she did not know. She had not spoken to Rebecca Sloan in 15 years. Not since Rebecca was ordered to stop helping her. Not since Claire walked out of a military hearing alone. Claire attached the first file. Then stopped. A sound came from the terminal. A soft chime. Another user had entered the archive. Evan leaned in. That's impossible. I locked external access. Claire looked at the user ID. M. Vale Risk. Monica Vale. Active session. Inside the server room network. Aaron said, she's in the system? Evan's face drained. No. He slowly turned. She's in this room. Everyone looked around. Server racks, shadows, red lights. A second door stood behind the old backup tower. Claire had seen it when they entered. Maintenance access, locked from outside. Not from inside. The handle moved. Monica Vale stepped out. Gray suit, perfect hair, phone in one hand, small hospital tablet in the other. Dana gasped. Reader moved forward, but Monica raised her phone. Take one more step and Director Hale sends the packet on your mother's mortgage. Reader stopped. Monica looked at Claire. You were always good at finding patterns. Claire said, and you were always good at writing them. Aaron looked between them. You know each other? Monica smiled faintly. Claire did not. Kandahar, Claire said. Dana whispered she was there. Monica tilted her head. Not exactly. Claire's eyes sharpened, then she understood. Civilian contractor, Monica smiled. Record systems integration, military medical documentation, chain of custody architecture, Evan whispered. You built the software. Monica looked at him. I built compliance tools. Claire said, you built a lie machine. Monica's smile vanished. I built a system that protected institutions from emotional people with incomplete information. Dana stepped forward. My fiancé is dead. Monica looked at her with something almost like pity. Yes. And your grief is making you vulnerable to manipulation. Dana's face changed. Claire stepped in front of her. Monica looked back at Claire. You always did this. You found one body, one chart, one inconsistency, and you thought the whole world should burn until someone admitted you were right. Claire said, Ellie Mercer was alive. Monica's eyes hardened for 13 minutes. Claire went still. Monica continued. 13 minutes that would not have changed the outcome, but your report would have destroyed a surgical command, exposed an evacuation failure, and ended careers of people who were holding that field hospital together with duct tape and prayer. Claire's voice dropped. You changed his death time. I corrected operational context. You buried him while he still had a pulse. Dana covered her mouth. Aaron looked sick. Monica stepped closer. And you still don't understand. You think truth heals because you've never had to run the institution after truth destroys it. Claire stared at her. There it was. The enemy was closer than expected. Not just Hale, not just Morris. Monica Vale had been part of the original wound. The same woman who helped bury Eli Mercer in Kandahar had helped build the system that buried Marcus Bell. Monica held out her hand. The drive. Claire said, no. Monica sighed. You haven't sent anything yet. I blocked the outbound port when you opened the archive. You have no signal, no email, no cloud, no way out. Evan checked the terminal. His face confirmed it. Monica looked satisfied. You were in a locked room with stolen patient files, a grieving girlfriend, a compromised resident, a lab tech committing a felony, and a security guard violating employment policy. She looked at Claire's military ID, and you, Captain, are the only person here with a documented history of falsifying medical records. Aaron's voice shook. You set this up. Monica said, no, Doctor. You all walked into it because Claire Donovan still believes being right is the same as being credible. Claire said nothing. Monica extended her hand again. The drive now. Dana looked at Claire. Claire slowly reached into her pocket. Monica's eyes followed her hand. Claire pulled out the encrypted drive, and she dropped it into a glass of water sitting beside the terminal. Evan gasped. Monica's face went white. What did you do? Claire looked at her. I gave you what you asked for. Monica lunged toward the glass. And in that moment, Dana moved, not like a fighter. Like a woman with nothing left to lose. She snatched Monica's phone from her hand and ran toward the second door. Monica shouted, stop her. Reader tackled the server room door open. Aaron grabbed Dana's arm and pulled her through. Evan yanked a backup cable from the terminal, ripping the active session offline. Claire stayed behind 1 second longer. Monica turned on her. You destroyed your only proof. Claire looked at the glass, then at Monica. No. She held up her old military ID. Inside its plastic sleeve, hidden behind the faded card, was a micro-SD chip. The drive was bait. Monica's face changed. Claire stepped backward into the hallway. You forgot something about me, Monica whispered. What? Claire said. I learned from people who lied for a living. Then she slammed the door between them. They ran through the maintenance corridor under red emergency lights, not like heroes, like ordinary people carrying something too heavy for their hands. Dana clutched Monica's phone. Aaron held the printed files against his chest. Evan carried the backup cable in shaking courage. Reader moved behind them, listening for pursuit. Claire led, always toward exits, always away from cameras, always counting doors. At the stairwell, Aaron stopped. We have to get this outside. Claire nodded. Loading dock. Dana looked down at Monica's phone. It's locked. Give it to Evan. Evan took it. I'm a lab tech, not a hacker. Claire glanced at him. You printed a critical lab under admin hold. That was a printer. Pretend the phone is a rude printer. Despite everything, Aaron almost laughed. That tiny laugh mattered. It reminded them they were still people. Evan worked on the phone as they moved. The stairwell door above them opened. Voices, security. Reader whispered, down. They descended 2 flights, then another door opened below, more voices. Claire stopped. Trapped, Dana looked at her. What now? Claire scanned the landing. Fire hose cabinet. Old service panel. Laundry chute access. She pointed. Laundry. Aaron stared. You want us to climb into a laundry chute? I want us not to get caught. Evan swallowed. I vote laundry. They forced the access open. One by one, they dropped into the hospital laundry system, sliding down into darkness and warm linen. Dana landed first in a cart full of sheets. Then Evan, then Aaron, then Reader. Claire came last. They climbed out into the basement laundry room. For 1 second, they stood there surrounded by white sheets. Dana looked at the linens. Marcus had died under sheets like these. The thought hit her, visibly. Claire saw it. She put a hand on Dana's shoulder. Keep moving. Dana nodded. They reached the loading dock at 11:52 p.m. Rain blew in sideways. An ambulance idled near the bay. A paramedic stood smoking under the awning. He looked up when he saw Aaron. Doc? Aaron opened his mouth, but Claire stepped forward. What's your name? Luis. Luis, do you know Marcus Bell? The paramedic's expression shifted. Paramedic trainee Marcus. Dana stepped forward. He was my fiancé. Luis dropped the cigarette. Oh my God, I heard. He's gone, Dana said. Luis looked down. Claire moved closer. Marcus was going to be one of yours. Luis nodded slowly. Yeah, we need to get evidence outside before the hospital deletes it. Luis looked toward the cameras, then back at Dana. He did not ask for details. Sometimes grief was credential enough. My rig has a dash cam and cellular uplink, he said. What do you need? Claire looked at Evan. Evan plugged Monica's phone into the ambulance onboard tablet. Come on, he whispered. The phone unlocked, not fully, but enough. A notification opened, a scheduled message from Monica to Hale. Subject, Donovan containment packet. Attached files, Kandahar disciplinary summary. Edited St. Mercy timeline. Draft press statement, Dana Ruiz behavioral instability notes. Aaron Pike negligence report. Claire stared at the list. They had written everyone's destruction in advance, then Evan found another folder. Archive, board eyes only. He opened it. The complete strategic risk model, all 38 cases, all internal notes, all edits, all names. Dana whispered, send it. Evan looked at Claire. To who? Claire removed the microSD from her ID sleeve and inserted it into the ambulance tablet. A secure upload window appeared. Recipient saved from 15 years ago. Major Rebecca Sloan. Claire hesitated. Aaron noticed. You trust her? Claire looked at the rain. I trusted her once. Dana said, did she betray you? Claire's answer was quiet. No, a beat. She obeyed orders. Dana understood the difference. Claire hit send. The upload began. 1%, 2%. Then the ambulance bay doors opened. Director Hale walked out into the rain with 4 security guards. No shouting, no panic, just control. Claire, he called. Step away from the ambulance. The upload reached 9%. Hale walked closer. Whatever you think you're sending, we can explain it. Claire watched the progress bar. 14%. Hale looked at Luis. You're interfering with hospital property. Luis swallowed, then glanced at Dana. No, sir, I'm assisting a family member. Hale's smile disappeared. The upload hit 23%, then stopped. Signal lost. Evan slapped the screen. No. Hale held up a small device. Cellular jammer, Claire said. Dana whispered, can he do that? Claire looked at Hale. He just did. Hale stepped closer. This ends now. Claire looked around. Loading dock, ambulance, rain, security, no signal. Then she heard it, a helicopter. Not close, but coming. Hale heard it too. His face changed for the first time that night, not anger, fear. Claire looked up into the rain. A black helicopter light cut through the storm. Then her phone buzzed. One message, unknown sender. Captain Donovan, this is Major Sloan. Hold the evidence. Federal Medical Crimes Unit inbound. 2 minutes. Claire looked at Hale. For the first time all night, she smiled. Not big, not happy. Just enough. You're out of time. The helicopter did not land on the roof. It landed in the ambulance bay. Rain blasted sideways as hospital staff rushed to the glass doors. Reporters outside turned their cameras. Families stood from waiting room chairs. Nurses stopped moving. For one suspended moment, St. Mercy General watched a black federal helicopter touch down where ambulances usually carried in the dying. The side door opened. Major Rebecca Sloan stepped out wearing a dark coat over a military uniform. Behind her came 4 federal agents with medical crimes badges. Not FBI, not hospital compliance, something rarer, something Hale had not planned for. The kind of people who understood that paperwork could be a crime scene. Sloan walked through the rain toward Claire. 15 years had changed both women. Claire had more lines around her eyes. Sloan had more silver in her hair. But the silence between them remembered everything. Sloan stopped in front of her. Captain Donovan. Claire did not salute. Not yet. Major Sloan. Sloan looked at the ambulance tablet. Do you have evidence? Claire handed her the microSD chip, and a witness video, and a live archive on Monica Vale's phone. Sloan turned to Dana. Miss Ruiz? Dana held out the phone. My fiancé was alive after their chart says he died. Sloan took it gently. I'm sorry for your loss. Dana nodded once. She was past politeness now. Sloan looked at Aaron. Dr. Pike. Aaron seemed unable to speak. Claire answered for him. He was framed. Sloane's eyes moved to Hale. Director Hale stood under the awning, rain hitting his expensive shoes. "Major," he said, recovering quickly, "this is a hospital matter. You have no authority to." Sloane held up a tablet. "Federal preservation order, medical records, server archives, security footage, risk management files, board communications. All systems are frozen as of this minute." Hale's jaw tightened. "You are making a mistake." Sloane looked at him. "No, I made one 15 years ago." Her eyes shifted to Claire. Claire looked away. That line hit deeper than she expected. Sloane turned to the agents. "Secure the server room. Find Monica Vale. Detain anyone attempting deletion or external transfer." 2 agents moved inside. Then the ER doors opened. Dr. Lena Morris stepped out. She had changed out of her white coat, as if removing it might remove the night. She looked at the agents, then at Hale, then at Claire. For the first time, she did not look proud. She looked tired. Sloane asked, "Dr. Morris?" Morris said nothing. Hale snapped, "Lena, don't say anything." Claire watched Morris. This was her moment, her one chance to become more than the worst thing she had done. Morris's lips trembled. Then she said, "I canceled the CT." Hale turned on her. "Stop." Morris looked at Dana. "I told myself he was stable." Dana's face twisted. "He wasn't." Morris closed her eyes. "No." Dana stepped closer. "You saw him." Morris opened her eyes. "Yes." The word broke something in the air. Dana whispered, "Then why?" Morris looked at Hale, then at the hospital behind her. The model flagged him as low legal exposure. Monica said if he crashed, Aaron's documentation would carry the liability. Hale said we couldn't afford another charity care surgical disaster. Aaron looked like he might be sick. "So you let me take it?" Morris's eyes filled. "I thought he would survive long enough." Claire's voice was quiet. Morris looked at her. For the chart to make sense, no one spoke. There it was, not rage, not evil laughter. A sentence so cold because it sounded like hospital language. Long enough for the chart to make sense. Dana stepped back as if the words had physically hurt her. Sloane turned to her agents. "Dr. Morris is to remain available for questioning." Hale pointed at Claire. "She is a disgraced former officer. Her testimony is contaminated." Sloane looked at him. "No, Director Hale." She opened a file on her tablet. Her original Kandahar findings were confirmed 2 years ago by a classified review. Claire went still. "What?" Sloane turned to her. "Ellie Mercer was alive at 0319. Your report was accurate. Your disciplinary file was false." Claire's face did not change. But Dana saw her hand tremble. Sloane's voice softened. "I tried to find you." Claire looked at her. "No one tried hard enough." Sloane took the hit. "She deserved it." "Yes," she said, "that's true." Then she turned back to Hale. "Captain Donovan is not contaminated. She is the precedent." Hale's control finally cracked. "You have no idea what you're doing. If this goes public, this hospital collapses." Dana stepped forward. "My Marcus collapsed first." Silence. Then Reader said, "And Anna." Evan whispered, "And 37 others." Claire looked at Hale. "No, not 37. She held up the archive list, 38 documented. Then she looked through the glass at the crowded ER and everyone after them who would been next. By 1:18 a.m., St. Mercy was no longer hiding. Federal agents sealed the server room. Risk management offices were locked. ET terminals were mirrored. Security footage was preserved. Monica Vale was found in a stairwell trying to wipe a hospital tablet with a portable drive. She did not run when they caught her. People like Monica did not believe they were caught until a judge said so. Director Hale was escorted through the ER in front of the same staff who had watched Aaron Pike drag through earlier. He kept his chin up, but nobody looked away. Not this time. Dr. Morris sat alone in Trauma 3, staring at the empty bed where Marcus Bell had fought for his life. Dana stood outside the room. Claire joined her. For a while, neither woman spoke. Then Dana asked, "Do I have to forgive her?" Claire looked through the glass at Morris. "No." Dana nodded. "Good." Claire said, "Forgiveness is not a debt the wounded owe the people who hurt them." Dana wiped her face. "What do I do with all this anger?" Claire took a breath. That question reached into old places, into Kandahar, into 15 years of silence, into every night she had charted too carefully because part of her was still trying to prove she had not lied. "I don't know," Claire said. Dana looked surprised. Claire continued, "I know what not to do with it." "What?" "Don't let it become the only thing Marcus left you." Dana looked down at the ring box in her hand. Her face broke again, but softer this time. Not less painful, just more human. Aaron walked up slowly. His coat was gone. His badge had been removed during the internal review. He looked like a man waiting to be told whether his future still existed. "Claire," he said, "Sloane says my account was accessed remotely. They can prove the note wasn't mine." Dana looked at him. Aaron could barely meet her eyes. "I'm sorry." Dana stared at him. "For what?" "For not fighting harder sooner." That was honest, and because it was honest, it hurt. Dana said nothing for a long time. Then she said, "Marcus wanted to be a paramedic because he believed scared people deserved someone calm beside them." Aaron swallowed. Dana stepped closer. "You were scared." "Yes, you still should helped him faster." Aaron closed his eyes. "I know." Dana nodded. "Then become the kind of doctor who never forgets that." Aaron's face crumpled, not loudly, Not dramatically, just enough for shame to become responsibility. Claire watched him. This was justice too, not the kind with handcuffs, the kind where someone became better because they could not undo what happened. Major Sloan approached. Claire. Claire turned. We need your statement. Claire nodded. Sloan hesitated. There's more. Claire waited. Sloan handed her a printed document. U.S. Army Board for Correction of Military Records preliminary finding. Claire read the first lines. Captain Claire Elise Donovan. Prior adverse action unsupported by evidence. Recommendation full correction of service record. The words blurred. For 15 years Claire had imagined this moment. In some versions she cried, in some she screamed, in some she threw the paper at the first officer who admitted they had ruined her life, but now that the truth was in her hands, it felt smaller than she expected. Not meaningless, just late. Sloan said quietly, it doesn't give those years back. Claire folded the paper once. No, I'm sorry. Claire looked at her. For a moment all the old anger stood between them. Then Claire looked through the glass at Dana holding Marcus's ring box. Aaron standing with his ruined pride and possible redemption. Reader crying silently over his sister's file. Evan realizing courage could cost him but still be worth it. And Claire understood the deepest truth of the night. She had spent 15 years believing she wanted her name cleared. But what she really wanted was to stop living like the lie had defined her. Her healing was not the army admitting she was right. It was Claire finally believing she was not what they wrote. She looked back at Sloan. Use my statement for Marcus first. Sloan studied her. Your military case can wait 12 more hours. Sloan nodded. That was when Claire saw Dr. Morris through the glass. Morris had stood. She was looking at Claire, not proud, not defensive, empty. She walked out of Trauma 3. Sloan's agents moved, but Morris raised her hands. I'm not leaving. She looked at Claire. I need to say something. Dana stiffened. Claire did not answer. Morris's voice shook. I knew the model was wrong. Not legally, not technically, morally. Hale was gone now. Monica was gone. No one was there to protect her from herself. Morris looked at Dana. I let a system make me smaller than my oath. Dana's eyes filled again. Morris turned to Aaron. And I let you become useful because you were young? Aaron said nothing. Then Morris looked at Claire. I hated you tonight because you saw me before I was ready to see myself. Claire held her gaze. Morris whispered, what do I do now? Everyone waited. Maybe they expected Claire to destroy her. Maybe part of Claire wanted to. But Claire was not Hale. She was not Monica. She would not use truth as a weapon just because she finally had it. She said, you tell them everything. Morris nodded. And after that, Claire looked at Trauma 3. At least one mother is going to ask why her child died. Morris lowered her head. Claire's voice stayed steady. You answer her. Morris broke then. Quietly, completely. Not because she deserved comfort, because truth had finally reached her too. At 2:06 a.m., the 7th floor conference room filled again. Same table, same windows, same rain, but the room was different now. Director Hale no longer sat at the head. Major Sloan did. Beside her were 2 federal medical crimes agents, a state health investigator, and a representative from the Attorney General's office. Across the table sat Claire Donovan, Aaron Pike, Dana Ruiz, Paul Reeder, Evan Brooks, Dr. Morris. Marcus Bell's mother, Evelyn, entered last. She looked smaller than she had on television. Grief did that. It made people look like their bones had become too heavy. Dana stood immediately. Evelyn saw the ring box in Dana's hands. Her face changed. Oh, she whispered. Dana began to cry. He was going to ask me tonight. Evelyn covered her mouth. Dana walked to her and placed the box in her hand. I think he would want you to see it. Evelyn opened the box. Inside was a simple ring, not expensive. Beautiful anyway. The room went silent. For all the files, all the models, all the legal language, this was the truth Hale could never calculate. A man had walked into St. Mercy with a future in his pocket, and he never walked out. Major Sloan began. Mrs. Bell, I am sorry. What we are about to show you is painful, but it is the truth. Evelyn sat. Claire watched her hands. They were shaking. Claire remembered other mothers, other rooms, other folded flags, other lies wrapped in official language. Not again. Sloan displayed the timeline. Marcus arrived at 6:18 p.m. His critical lactate resulted at 7:03 p.m. Risk management placed the lab on administrative hold. At 7:38 p.m. Dr. Pike ordered the CT. At 7:42 p.m. Dr. Morris canceled it. 59 p.m. a false note was entered under Dr. Pike's account. At 8:19 p.m. Marcus collapsed. At 8:31 p.m. he lost his pulse for the first time. At 10:58 p.m. Marcus was pronounced dead. At 11:43 p.m. a false time of death was entered retroactively. At 11:58 p.m. Dana's video showed Marcus still being assisted during the active resuscitation period before the official narrative was finalized. Evelyn listened without interrupting. Then Sloan showed the model. Financial exposure, legal vulnerability, provider liability assignment, resident level failure. Evelyn stared at the words. My son was a number? Claire answered before anyone else could. No, Evelyn looked at her. They made a number out of him. That is not the same thing, Dana cried silently. Aaron looked down. Dr. Morris could not lift her eyes. Evelyn turned to Morris. Did you see him? Morris's face crumpled. Yes. Did he ask for help? Yes. Did my son die because nobody knew what was wrong? Morris shook her head no. Evelyn's voice broke, then say it. Morris looked at her. He died because we knew enough to act and delayed anyway. Evelyn closed her eyes. The sentence landed like a verdict, not legal. Human. Then Evelyn turned to Aaron. And you? Aaron looked up. I should have fought harder. Yes, Evelyn said. He nodded. I will carry that. Evelyn stared at him for a long moment. Carrying it is not enough. No, Mom. Make it mean something. Aaron's voice cracked. I will. Finally, Evelyn looked at Claire. Who are you? Claire did not answer right away. For 4 years, that question would have made her step back. Now she did not. My name is Claire Donovan, Sloane added softly. Captain Claire Donovan exposed the alteration pattern. Evelyn looked from Sloane back to Claire. You saved the truth. Claire shook her head. Dana did, Evan did, Aaron did, Reader did, Marcus did. Evelyn frowned. Marcus? Claire looked at the timeline. He kept showing us he was alive. The chart tried to erase him. His body kept telling the truth. Evelyn began to cry then, not loudly, just enough for the room to remember this was not a case, it was a son. Sloane turned to the investigators. Preserve all evidence. Notify state licensing boards. Freeze administrative departures. Request emergency oversight authority for St. Mercy operations. Then she looked at Claire. Captain Donovan, your statement? Claire stood. She placed 2 documents on the table. One was Marcus Bell's corrected timeline. The other was her Kandahar preliminary finding. She looked at the room. 15 years ago, I learned something about false records. Everyone listened. They do not just hide what happened. They teach everyone who comes after that truth is negotiable. She looked at Dr. Morris. Doctors begin to trust language over patience. She looked at Hale's empty chair. Administrators begin to trust liability over life. She looked at Aaron. Young clinicians begin to believe silence is survival. Then she looked at Dana and Evelyn. And families are left trying to grieve someone whose final moments have been stolen from them twice. Claire took a breath. I am not here because I am brave. Her voice almost broke. I am here because I was silent once after they punished me for telling the truth, and I mistook survival for peace. No one moved. Claire looked at the corrected timeline. Marcus Bell was alive when the hospital needed him to be dead. Dana covered her mouth. Evelyn closed her eyes. Claire continued. So, the record will say this now. Marcus Bell asked for help. Marcus Bell deteriorated while critical evidence was withheld. Marcus Bell died after decisions were made to protect an institution instead of a patient. She placed her hand on the chart, and no one in this room will ever again use a clean note to bury a dirty truth. The rain softened outside. For the first time all night, St. Mercy was quiet for the right reason. Morning came gray and cold, the kind of morning that did not forgive the night. It simply revealed what the night had done. Reporters still stood outside St. Mercy, but now the story had changed. Not one negligent resident, not one tragic mistake, a federal investigation, a risk model, 38 cases, a hidden archive, a dead patient whose girlfriend had kept the truth in a phone video. Dr. Aaron Pike sat on the curb near the ambulance bay, wearing scrubs under a borrowed jacket. Claire found him there with 2 coffees. She handed him one. He looked at it. I don't deserve coffee. No one deserves hospital coffee. Despite himself, he smiled faintly, then it disappeared. I keep thinking about the moment I let Morris stop me. Claire sat beside him. You'll think about it for a long time. That's supposed to help? No. He looked at her. She stared at the empty ambulance bay. It's supposed to be true, Aaron nodded. After a while he said, Do you think I can still be a doctor? Claire took a sip of coffee. That depends. On what? Whether you want to be a doctor because you like being trusted. She looked at him. Or because you're willing to be responsible when trust fails. Aaron absorbed that. Then he nodded. I want the second one. Then start there. Across the bay, Evan was giving a statement to investigators. His hands still shook, but his voice did not. Reader stood with his mother, showing her Anna's corrected file. His mother touched the paper like it was both wound and medicine. Dana sat with Evelyn Bell in the chapel. Claire found them there later. The hospital chapel was small, windowless, and too bright. Dana had placed Marcus's ring box on the bench between them. Evelyn held one of Dana's hands. When Claire entered, both women looked up. Dana said, They asked if I want to release the video publicly. Claire sat across from her. What do you want? Dana looked at the ring box. I want everyone to know he mattered. Claire nodded. Then don't release it because you hate them. Dana looked up. Why? Because hate will ask for more than the video. Dana's eyes filled. Claire continued. Release it because Marcus wanted to save people, and this still can. Evelyn touched the ring box. He was going to be a good paramedic, Claire said. He already was. Dana looked at her. How? He kept someone calm while he was scared. Dana broke into tears. Evelyn held her. Claire sat with them until the crying softened. Not disappeared, softened. That was all healing was at first, pain learning to breathe. Later, Claire walked to the staff locker room. Her locker was open. Someone had removed the old nameplate, Novan C. For a second, she thought Hale's people had done it. Then she saw the new one. Capped, Claire Donovan RN. A note was taped beneath it. From Marlene, I should have listened sooner. I'm listening now. Claire stared at the note for a long time. Then she took the military ID from around her neck. For 15 years, she had kept it hidden like evidence of a life she was not allowed to claim. Now she placed it inside the locker, not buried, not displayed, just there. Part of her, not all of her. Major Sloan found her in the hallway. The Army Review Board will call today. Claire closed the locker, I'll answer. Sloan nodded. There may be a formal reinstatement offer, advisory role, medical crimes training. Claire looked toward the ER. A new ambulance pulled in. A nurse called for help. A patient cried out. Life continuing, careless and urgent. Sloan said, you don't have to decide now. Claire watched the stretcher roll through the doors. Then she said, I already did. 3 weeks later, St. Mercy General looked different, not from the outside. Glass still shone, ambulances still arrived. Families still waited under fluorescent lights, but inside things had changed. Not enough, never enough, but enough to begin. Director Warren Hale faced federal charges related to obstruction, evidence tampering, and conspiracy to falsify medical records. Monica Vale's consulting contracts across 3 hospital systems were frozen pending investigation. Dr. Lena Morris surrendered her leadership role and agreed to testify before state and federal investigator. The strategic risk model became the first thread in a much larger investigation. 38 families received calls no family should ever have to receive. Some screamed, some went silent, some simply asked, was my child alone? The answer mattered, even when it hurt. Dr. Aaron Pike returned to St. Mercy under supervision, not cleared of guilt in his own heart, but cleared of the lie in the chart. On his first shift back, he saw a young woman in bed 6 with chest pain and normal labs. The old Aaron might have waited. The new Aaron ordered the repeat test. Then he walked to the bedside himself. Claire saw him do it. He looked back at her once. She gave a small nod, that was all. Evan Brooks transferred from the lab to clinical informatics, where he helped build an alert system no administrator could quietly override without triggering outside review. Paul Reeder reopened Anna's case. His mother visited the hospital chapel every Sunday, not because she forgave St. Mercy, but because the chapel was the last place Anna had prayed before surgery. Dana Ruiz released Marcus's video 2 days after the funeral. Not the worst parts, not the most private parts, just enough. Marcus smiling weakly. Marcus saying, I was supposed to be on the other side of this bed. Marcus alive after the chart said he was not. The video spread across the country. People argued. People demanded answers. People told stories of charts they never trusted and loved ones they never stopped questioning. But Dana did not watch the comments. She enrolled in Marcus's paramedic academy class the following month. On the first day, she carried his ring on a chain under her shirt. When the instructor asked why she wanted to become a paramedic, Dana said, because someone calm stayed with me on the worst night of my life. I want to be that for somebody else. And Claire Donovan? She stayed on nights. Not because she was hiding, because nights still needed people who paid attention. At 2:13 a.m. on a rainy Thursday, a new resident stood at the nurse's station, arguing with himself over whether to call surgery on a patient whose numbers were almost normal but whose face was not. Claire stood beside him, silent. The resident glanced at her. What do you think? Months earlier, no doctor had asked her that. Claire looked through the curtain at the patient, then at the monitor, then at the resident. I think the patient is trying to tell us something. The resident nodded. I'll call surgery. Claire watched him go. Marlene walked up beside her. You ever get tired of being right? Claire almost smiled. I'm not trying to be right. No. Claire looked down the ER hallway. A janitor pushed a mop bucket past Trauma 3. A mother slept in a chair beside her sick child. A young nurse taped a family photo inside her locker. The hospital was still flawed, still busy, still human. But now, somewhere in its servers, a record could no longer be changed without leaving a scar. Claire said, I'm trying to make sure the truth has a witness. Marlene nodded, then the ambulance doors opened. Cold air rushed in. Claire turned toward it automatically, not because she feared the past, because someone was arriving from the future, and they might need her. The final corrected line in Marcus Bell's chart read, patient remained under active care until time of death. Prior documentation amended following federal review. It was clinical, imperfect. Too small for the life it described, but beneath it in the audit notes, one sentence remained locked from deletion. Original record was inconsistent with witness evidence. Claire Donovan read that sentence once. Then she closed the chart. Marcus Bell was still gone. Dana still carried a ring instead of a husband. Evelyn still woke some mornings reaching for a phone call that would never come. Truth did not bring the dead back, but it did something lies never could. It gave the living a place to stand. And for Claire Donovan, after 15 years of surviving in silence, that was enough to begin again.